So you've built a brilliant product and you're ready to take it global, but how do you protect your idea in multiple countries without draining a budget? It's a question that many small, thriving, growing businesses are starting to ask. So today we're going to unpack that question. We're going to unpack how international patent strategies are something that you as a business owner need to know about. So welcome back to the Business Behind Your Business podcast. We're here to help you as a small and medium business owner uncover the strategies for real growth. Strategies for growth, but also protecting those hard-earned assets that you've built up over many, many years. So we're looking at tackling that topic today about how you can expand your business but protect your assets in a global form. So how can we do that using patents? Well, they're not just for big corporations. They're essential for protecting all forms of intellectual property, staying competitive, but the process can feel quite overwhelming, can be expensive, and you may come across some legal jargon. And that's why we brought in an expert who knows how to make this simple and help you journey through getting your patent registered, but do it without all the pitfalls and pain that many people experience. So today we're talking with Austin Bonderer. He's a seasoned patent attorney. He's got over 2 decades of experience working more than 700 issued US patents to his name. Before founding his own law firm, he served as a US patent examiner. He's even led the US nanotechnology prosecution for a Forbes World 100 company. That sounds really exciting. Keen to find out a little bit more about that. And his career's taken him around the globe. We've been talking about how he's worked in Asia with patent protection, which is quite a challenge. He's got quite a unique perspective on international patent strategies, and today he's helping small, medium businesses secure patents efficiently without burning through all their startup capital. And we've had some recent discussions about how it's very easy as a startup business to burn through your capital. So if you've ever wondered how to protect your ideas worldwide, this conversation's for you. So we're going to take you through the steps of how international patents work, why they matter for your growing business, and some strategies to help you secure that IP, intellectual property, globally without overspending. And we're also going to touch on some of the common mistakes that you need to avoid so you don't lose your time and money in the process. Simplest way to explain this is to get our expert on board. Austin, welcome to the Business Behind Your Business podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Look, it's exciting to have you here because you've got, I guess, a very broad experience. You've worked with some exciting concepts. You've worked with, some technology that's gone into some, very well-known and global products. But you've also traverse some of the challenges of protecting intellectual property in some of the Asian countries, but also transferring that content, that intellectual property ownership across into, the US and Australia and other countries. Why is it so important for businesses to protect their intellectual property?
For the most part, I tell people it affords them the ability to, one, get returns on their research and development. Two, it allows them space generally to see if this product or new idea can actually make some money, because we all know it's launching a product takes time. It's very difficult. It's very hard to do. And if you're not, and what the patent allows you is a government guaranteed monopoly in that country, because all patents are local, to exploit this new idea that you have and see if it's actually worth moving forward with, as opposed to doing all the research, spending all the time, showing some promise, and then just having someone jump into your space and taking up all your profits.
Yeah, and look, I think that you mentioned making sure that somebody doesn't jump in and steal your product or idea while you're in the development stage. Many people think that they have to wait until they finalize their product before they can actually register a patent. Is that correct?
No, I mean, basically, we need to have the general idea. We need to know what it is. What we have to do is enable one of ordinary skill to make and use the invention. So a lot of times people will come up to me and say, hey, we want to build this product. It's got some electronics, but we don't know how to do the electronics. I'm like, that's fine. As long as we know what the electronics will do, there's someone out there who can build it. That's enough for a patent application and moving forward, trying to get protection for your idea. So you don't have to wait and spend all the time with the development, the engineers, and all this other kind of stuff. And in fact, I actually kind of push this forward a bit because, the longer the secret's out there and the more people you get involved, the more likely the secret's going to get out.
Yeah, that makes sense because was it the saying, loose lips sink ships, and all you need is one employee to share something they're not supposed to, and suddenly it's out there. Somebody else could very much find out about what you're doing, and if they act quicker, all your hard work is, well, it's not going to give you the same rewards. So early on is the time to do it. Now, we mentioned, or you mentioned, that patents are a local registration. So if I'm developing, say, an idea or a process in Australia, how can I protect it in the US? And when should I start thinking about that?
I mean, that's definitely something you should start to think about at the beginning. Like, are are you going to stay just in Australia? Are you going to file in just one extra country like the United States? Or is there a possibility you're going to file in three or four? So the countries got together. So there's two ways of doing this. You would have to file in Australia first, one way or the other, because they have the ability to say, no, this is our secret technology. Thank you for developing it. You can't export this. So if you filed a traditional Australian patent application, within a year, you would have to file in all the countries that you want to file in directly. And that's 1 year. Or you can file a PCT at the end of that year, and that will give you an extra 18 months to nationalize your patent application in every single country that's a member of the PCT, or the ones that you want to. And then the other way, if you truly know that you're going to go in multiple countries, or you kind of want the extra time, you originally file a PCT application, which is a patent cooperation treaty application. And I kind of need to describe that a bit. So what this is that all these countries got together because originally it was under the Paris Convention. You filed a patent application in your home country, you had a year to file it in all the countries that you wanted. But a year is very limited time because take these big corporations, they want to file in 20, 30 countries. That means they had to go out and find 20 and 30 local councils who would do the applications for them in those places. So you would file and then you would just be burning the midnight oil trying to make this work. So we got together, they created what's called the Patent Cooperation Treaty. And what you file is a PCT application. And what it gives you is 30 months from the date of the original filing. And in your case, you're filing in Australia, or you originally filed a PCT, but you would file that in Australia as well. 30 months to nationalize your PCT application in all the countries that you want. So basically, when you file the PCT, it acts like there's this placeholder application in all the member countries. So it's just sitting there, but it's unfilled and nothing's going to happen. Within 30 months, you have to employ local counsel and you have to nationalize that application. In other words, you start the process of them actually treating it as an application. All those applications, regardless if it was done within a year or 30 months, will be treated as if it was filed on the first day of your original application in Australia.
So 30 months gives you a bit more of a time frame to, I guess, develop and see if you really need to go down the track of registering the patent in all of these countries. But I guess if you're also doing R&D work, you might even get to the point and say, well, hang on, in 30 months or even 2 years, you'll have a pretty good idea about, are you actually going to be successful in achieving the outcomes from your research and development or your new product? Because if you're not going to be successful, then the decision, I guess, is made. You don't go and register the patent because it's not going to work.
That's another thing, advantage of the PCT. One thing that PCT does is it gives you an examination by a competent authority on your claims fairly quickly, which in a way kind of gives you a little bit of, whether or not you feel good about actually nationalizing these applications. Because if the patent examiner who examines the PCT and issues the search report found prior art and says, hey, this thing's actually out there, you kind of don't waste your money trying to nationalize this thing. However, it is an examiner. We always have disagreements with examiners. That's our whole job. We're not going to take no for an answer. But at least you have a competent authority who examined it. And for some people, like smaller businesses and say independent inventors, one of the advantages of PCT and this initial examination is you now have an official document saying, hey, I have allowable subject matter here. Two, we have the ability to file in all these countries. Do you want to invest with me? Do you want to buy this application? Do you want to take it on and move forward with it? And see, it's a good way to attract investment or even people actually buying the idea, because now you've given them a means to exploit it in all these member countries or the countries that they choose to do. And that's why that 30-month time frame gives you a little more leeway to find those investors.
Mm. So I guess one of the important things there is that you've got time, as you mentioned, you can secure additional investment, but the existing funds that you start with, you can employ them to actually creating your product and finishing that research and development so that you can accelerate uh, that development to a point where you can start to commercialize rather than spending time and resources on registering patents in different countries at the outset. So I think that's a key thing, because I think a lot of people will, I guess, hesitate to go and register a patent because they think of the expense, and they don't have the cash flow to do that. And I guess if you've got the original patent and the PCT lodged, as you said, you can go to an investor and then you can secure some additional funding because you've got something of value there, something that they can exploit and commercialize in the future. So I think that's a great way to look at it. I think you've really switched the way that a lot of people will look at it in terms of when do I go and register it, which is good, because the startup funding is really hard to get.
Yeah. And, I explain to clients all the time is that, and that's the other part too. I really work hard with my clients because attorneys can work you out of all your capital. Cash is king when you're a startup, but there are things that we need to do and some building blocks that we need to work on, but we can just keep going, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this, and burn through all the capital. And you have a perfectly good corporation set up with no money to get moving. So you really got to be judicious with your legal budget, your patent budget. I'm sure you've dealt with this a lot. It's cash is king. We got to keep it in the coffers as best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the questions that will come to mind as well is, let's say I'm in Australia and I want to register my patent or go through the PCT and have the US patent registered in the future, do I need to have a company structure or a structure set up in the US to hold that patent?
No, not at all. No, it's not like one of these things where you need a local representative or any of this stuff. You can be a foreign corporation, and some of the largest patent holders now, I think, are based out of China and Europe.
Okay. So that's comforting to know, because I think a lot of people hesitate as well when they get to that and think, oh, I've got to have a company in every jurisdiction that I'm registering, which is also going to add to the expense, because once you set up that structure, you've got all the filing fees and administration costs going forward. It does add to your costs going forward. Now, I'm curious here because you just mentioned China. My guess is that not every country is participates in the PCT treaty. Um, what are some of the issues? Because you've done quite a lot of work with patents in Asia and China. What are some of the things that people get wrong or misunderstand when they're dealing with say, China and some of the Asian countries?
I mean, it's true that the patent robustness, especially of enforcement, is not as good in some of these Asian countries. Now, China, for example, it's better than it used to be. I think they finally realized that, hey, this intellectual property thing really does spur investment. It builds businesses. We need to protect it. And at the end of the day, even though, it's a very monopolistic, capitalistic type of thing, they realize is that it spurs growth in the long run. I mean, that's been the argument of patents forever. So the enforcement has gotten a lot better there. And so, and the different Asian countries do, different things. China is very attractive to filing. It might not be the best patent protection, but we all know it's a manufacturing center. And I'm kind of a nerd and I really like the Dune series, love the books. So I always repurpose this phrase: "He who controls the manufacturing controls the universe." So if you're building something that's like a widget and stuff, and the EU is very difficult to patent, and they are very anti-patent, and they have these draconian rules, very hard to deal with. It's very expensive. So I tell people, like, look, if you're manufacturing something in China, you have the patent. They can't build it there except you can. Even though you don't have a patent in the EU, you now are at least at a competitive advantage in the EU because you were able to build it in the manufacturing centers. I mean, they can build it in Germany, but it's going to be like 20 times the cost. And you would be able to ship it there because you maintain control over the manufacturing centers.
I think that's a really valid point about the manufacturing. Before we hit record, we were both, I guess, lamenting the decline of the manufacturing industries in both Australia and the US. And as we all know, some of the manufacturing centres in the world are generally in Asia. It's a lot more cost effective for companies to manufacture their product in Asia outside their own country. And the EU is particularly an expensive place for manufacturing. But that whole idea of protecting where the product is created or manufactured is a key concept. I think a lot of people forget about that. They think about where they're going to be selling and not where they're actually creating.
So once you control the manufacturing, you can sell it anywhere for cheaper than generally what they would be able to do in the other countries.
Okay, that's really key to know, because I think a lot of people misunderstand or miss that point about protecting where you're manufacturing or where you could be manufacturing. So there are some other issues that I guess that people get wrong. What would be your top 5 things that people get really wrong when it comes to understanding patents?
Oh, expect the United States is a little different. The biggest one's disclosure. Just don't tell anybody. Stop. Just be quiet. I get it. It's like your little baby. You want to show people your baby. You're like, look how beautiful my baby is. I came up with this great idea. I'm like, stop. Just shut up. Don't. No one wants to talk about it. One, most people don't want to talk about it. Two, you do that and it destroys your ability to get patents in most countries. So I'm like, if you really want to just talk to somebody, just call a patent attorney, talk their ear off, and then you feel better, like you've gotten it off your chest, but it's not publicly disclosed because disclosure kills patents. The United States is a little different in the fact that we give a 1 year grace period. So you have a year from your first public disclosure to file in the United States. But just because you were able to file in the United States doesn't mean you are able now to take that grace period and apply it to the EU version of that patent, because they will say, no, you publicly disclosed it. This patent is not valid. You can't have it, even though you could get a patent in the United States. And that's the biggest one. The other thing is, budget properly. Understand this is not an inexpensive endeavor. Um, the other thing I tell people is like, look, once we file for the patent application, go out and try to make as much money you can off this idea, because you don't need a patent to make money. I mean, look around your house, look around your office. Most of that stuff is not patented, but you paid good money for it if someone made a living off of it. So if it's going to make money, it's going to make money anyway. You're just going to have more competition in the long run. And you hope that you can, even with competition, you hit the ground running, you become the name brand, and then you move forward. The other thing that a lot of clients I tell is, they're very surprised, is that say you get the patent, you kind of you're going to corner the market on this. You should be planning for your own knockoff as soon as you start hitting the market with your top brand, because there are people who are you're going to be able to capture this price point and this price point with 2 different brands, and then you're pretending like it's a knockoff of your original product.
Well, I think that last one's a bit of a gem there. That's a gold nugget, that one, because a lot of people don't position that. I guess they're a lot focused on defence and protection, but not thinking about, well, what are the other ways that I can capitalise on this? Yeah, and you just gave us a great example of that, is having 2 different products at different pricing points, both protected. So that's a great one to take away. But I love some of the examples you gave. How do you get started working with a patent attorney?
You just contact them. I mean, it's just like anything else. I mean, and I get it. Most people are like scared as an attorney. It's all this. It's going to be outrageously expensive. It's fairly reasonable. I get it. Everything's expensive. It's not inexpensive, but just reach out, call several attorneys because at the end of the day, you need to find the attorney that you work best with. Because I'm not the expert on your idea. I'm like a jack of all trades. I try to interpret what you've given me. So by doing that, basically what I tell people I do for a living is I write term papers for other people. And that's it. You are the master, you are the expert of your term paper, of your stuff. So I write it, but we need to work hand in hand. So if you don't really get along with your patent attorney, move on. Go find another one because it is a closer relationship. It's a team effort. And the better that working together, better that teamwork is, the better product. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true, and it's true, for sports and pretty much everything we do.
Yeah, I love the way you describe it because we're talking about working together. It goes counter to so much we learn as we're going through the school system and the university systems about how we can't collaborate, we can't share knowledge, we can't work together. It's got to be your own work. But yeah, in business and particularly when it comes to working with an expert, and patent attorneys are a key example of that, you've got to be on the same team. You've got to be working together, and that idea of trust and collaboration work quite closely together. You're going to get the best result when you work with somebody that I guess you understand how they work and you trust the work that they're doing. And like you said, contact a few. I know if you reached out to Austin at bonderer.com as an example, very easy to work with, very understandable, very trusting. I've enjoyed speaking with him, but there are some other things that you could learn before you go there. And Austin, you've been quite generous because you've produced a lot of content explanations in some of the content you've produced. You've got your own YouTube channel where you go into, I guess, explaining some of these key concepts and terms for people to, I guess, find out about before they make the decision to contact you to get to do their patent work.
No, definitely. I mean, because everyone wants to know a little bit more about what they're trying to do. And when you don't, I believe that people, when they don't fully understand or have a decent grasp of what they're doing, the fear is actually worse than the fear of the worst thing that can happen is actually worse than the worst thing that can happen. So I like putting the content out there. So try to help people maybe give a little bit better understanding of how intellectual property works. And at the end of the day, it's fairly simple. We're just going out there and we're trying to define, new ideas and get them the protection that they want. And there's a process for doing this. Yes, it's a legal document. Yes, you should use an attorney to help you write it. But the general concepts of it's got to be new, can't be obvious, and we can get you a patent on it. And we also talk about trademarks on there as well, and protecting brands and those kind of things, and the differences between patents and trademarks. And so, hopefully, it's helpful for people getting them where they want to be.
Oh, that's great. So we'll put the link to Austin's YouTube channel in the show notes as well. So please check that out, particularly if you're considering or not even sure whether you should go down that track. But there'll be some great content, go into a lot more detail than what we have. And any questions, reach out to Austin at bonderer.com. So just recapping some of the key things, and if I've got this wrong, Austin, jump in and tell me the correct version. So we should be looking to protect our competitive edge, particularly if we're going to go global with our product and sell outside of our country. We want to plan early and work out which markets we need to get that protection in so that we're not spending more than we need to and running down on our cash. We need to work with the right attorney who's going to explain the process clearly and keep things simple for us, but also help us not exhaust all our funds in that process. So a couple of key things there. And timing is everything. Timing is key. So have the conversation with your attorney, not with the public. Keep it to yourself, but have a chat to the attorney and say, this is what I'm planning to do. What's my next step? How do I proceed? And keep your intellectual property to yourself at the moment. Move forward with that. But it is achievable protecting your assets, protecting your intellectual property. It is achievable, particularly on an international basis for small and medium businesses. And so work with an attorney like Austin who focuses on small and medium businesses. Is there anything I've missed in that you'd like to add?
Pretty much nailed it. I mean, if you come up with an idea, keep your mouth shut, contact an attorney, let's see what we can do. And that's pretty much it. The one thing I would say, it's bondererpatents.com. But all you have to do is look up Bonderer and patents, because I'm the only patent attorney, I believe, in the world with that last name. So I think that's it.
So the joys of Google. If you type in Bonderer and patents, it'll come up. So even if you get the spelling wrong, but go to the show notes where we'll have all the correct links for you. Also go to the businessbehindyourbusiness.com website where we've got all the show notes and links for you as well. And while you're there, check out some of our previous episodes on tips and ideas for small, medium businesses to help you grow, create, thrive, and have that freedom that you want when you start your business. But use the skills of experts because they know their stuff and they will help you get the best results in the best way and in an efficient process. So, Austin, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Really thrilled to have you on the podcast, hearing what you have to say to us and sharing, I guess, just making the process so much more understandable and simple, and I guess removing some of that fear factor that a lot of people have when they're thinking about patents.
It's something we do every day. It's not that difficult. It's merely just writing a term paper and then arguing before the office and then hopefully getting a patent afterwards.
Fantastic. So thank you again, Austin. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Paul. Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Business Behind Your Business. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and valuable for your business journey. Before we go, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Share it with fellow business owners who could benefit, and send in your burning questions because we love hearing from you. Missed any of our previous episodes or looking for additional resources to help grow your business? Head over to our website at thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. There you'll find our full archive of past episodes along with show notes, transcripts, and links to valuable resources mentioned in each episode. Your journey to business success continues at thebusinessbehindyourbusiness.com. Until next time, stay inspired, stay informed, and keep building the business of your dreams.